Good afternoon, good evening, Andrew Doak cooks. We are here yet again to prepare a meal that I have been putting off for the past couple of months because this is one of my favorite recipes. This is also a controversial recipe in my repertoire because there was a time when not everyone liked this recipe. So we'll circle back to that in a second. But this meal was birthed from an idea of necessity. When my wife and I were first starting out, we were dirt poor and did not have a whole lot of things. We definitely did not have access to a strip steak of this quality. This was actually purchased last summer at the farmer's market for this meal. So it's fun that we're now recording and I can walk through the whole reasons and steps to create what we refer to as beef and brown sauce. This is the recipe and the step-by-step instructions for Andrew Doak's beef and brown sauce. Now, this is going to be different than any other brown sauce and beef concoction you have either seen or consumed. So we're going to walk through and we're going to get to the true nature of why this meal is so controversial. Let's take a step over towards my refrigerator. In my refrigerator, I have a lot of condiments. I have shelves and shelves of condiments. And this was no different when I was poor and we were living in a very modest apartment in the outskirts of Washington, D.C. So I didn't have much, but I did have a refrigerator full of condiments and a refrigerator very angry that I have the door open. All right, so let's scoot back over to the stove. Okay, so you've got a refrigerator full of condiments. You have access, well, at the time, had access to cheap steak. Keep in mind, this was 25 years ago. So this was not the inflation that we know of today. So 25 years ago, and again, I wouldn't have been buying farmer's market artisan cuts of strip steak. I would have been buying the cheapest cuts I possibly could at the grocery store if they were on sale. So if I got lucky enough at the grocery store and I got myself a chunk of steak and I have an entire refrigerator full of condiments, what could we do? Well, something that we're going to do is we're going to put that to a side because we were smart enough to invest or receive as a gift a rice cooker. Rice cookers are your friend. Rice cookers are a set it and forget it method of preparing food, which, if you hadn't guessed, with my videos focusing around the air fryer, another set it and forget it method of cooking, big fan. So if you do not have a rice cooker, get one. They are wonderful. So we'll step through getting some rice prepared. My steak is really hard. It's frozen, and which actually isn't a bad thing to shave it, which is what we're going to do in a second. But I might give it a little bit more time to thaw just a stitch to make it a little bit more malleable and easier to slice. But otherwise, give me 1 second. We'll jump right in. All right, we're gonna plug it in. We're gonna take our top off. You're going to grab, in my case, this is my avocado spray, but you're going to grab whatever spray you might have, and you're gonna spray the inside. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to do 3 cups of rice to 2 cups of water. And the reason why I know to do that is because on my bag of rice, on my bag of Jasmine rice, it tells me so. 2 cups rice, 3 cups water. always, always take some of your salt. About that much. So grab our water. And that's that. That's it. So now we wait until this little button flicks up and that light turns from red to off. And then we'll know that our rice is ready to be fluffed. So that's done. I mean, what? That took us like a minute, 2 minutes tops. So now we're gonna move over to the meat. So why is this meal controversial? Why does this meal have an asterisk on it in my cookbook archives? Well, it's because this recipe, as I mentioned, was birthed out of necessity. It was trying something new when we had very, very little, and it became a part of our ongoing menu. Meaning we would have this every couple of weeks. Sometimes we'd have it once a month, but this became a treat meal for us that we were big fans of, that we were huge fans of. We actually also prepared it for some of our friends. They were big fans of it. So the reason why this is controversial is because while still very young, went on a vacation with family, extended family as well as immediate family, and was given the opportunity one night to prepare this meal for everyone. And I did. I prepared it all. I went and got the ingredients from the store. It was actually rather expensive because if you're going to buy a bunch of condiments all at once, all of those sauces are very, very expensive if you add them all up. And my family, immediate and extended, weren't fans of this meal. They didn't like it. And they didn't really hide their dislike very well either. So that was kind of a bummer. And that really stuck with me. And that's been, my gosh, probably 24 years, 25 years ago that happened. But yeah, so this one's controversial. We still make it and people still love it. But that one episode, and all of the things that I prepared, and I've screwed up recipes time and time again, but this one right here, this one is one that just always gives me a little pause when I make it because of that one experience many, many years ago. So that's why. All right, let's cut this steak open and start slicing it up. So we are going to salt and pepper this steak when we're done, but what we're going to do, and we're going to try it, it's very, I mean, it is frozen solid. All those little white bits you see on the camera, yeah, that's me basically cracking the frozen layer of moisture around the steak. But what we're going to do is we are going to carve this steak into long strips and then set them over in our bowl and let them rest in salt and pepper for a good half an hour. I don't know if I can cut this yet. All right, well, I can. All right, so paper thin. That's about what we're looking for. You can go a little thicker, but we're looking to, and the reason why I am using a serrated blade like this, because I am literally carving into the meat to make strips. So let's get to it. Yep, that's pretty good. All right, be right back. Ready? So for those that are joining at this stage and are wondering what in the world is this crazy person doing, adding all of these sauces to this, what appears to be meat. So what am I doing? What am I introducing to the meat that I have just seared in a cast iron pan with a little bit of oil? What am I doing now? I am now introducing salt, sugar, oil, and some spices that just happen to be in liquid form. So my version of beef and brown sauce, like some of my hacked versions of my red sauce, can be made only once because the ingredients are so fluid. They change over time. It's what you have on hand. As a prime example, you're going to be hard pressed to find Love Block in the store. I bought a case of this for my wife a couple of years ago, and this is the last bottle in that case that has just a little bit in there that she said would be better used in cooking than in drinking. So here we are. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different sauces that I have added to this. Extremely liquidy, that's the idea. I've got some mustard in here, a little mustard flavor. We've got some Eastern flavors, we've got some Southern flavors, we've got some Midwestern flavors, we've got some good old-fashioned sugar flavors. But what we're doing here, oh, and we have a little bit of heat. I used to add sliced jalapenos or sliced Thai red chilies to this until my wife started crying at the dinner table because the heat was so extreme and layered that it would just build after every bite. So by about the 10th bite, she was full on sobbing at the dinner table and asked that I stop doing that. So I don't add fresh chilies any longer. So here's what we're gonna do. So now my varying sauces in my concoction now should look pretty brown. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna cover this and we're gonna let this cook, and it is gonna cook off all or a lot of the moisture and leave us with steak pieces that are glazed in a sugary brown concoction that we're gonna smear on top of our rice and have a delicious dinner. So we'll come back in a bit to check on how our sauce is reducing. Once your rice is done and it's sat for about 5-6 minutes, make sure you take your top off Make sure you take the top off of your rice cooker. That came out really weird. And make sure you fluff your rice. I happen to live with some pretty neat people whom like to have bamboo or composite utensils. So having a nice composite spoon to scrape against the metal is really nice on the ears, as opposed to a metal spoon scraping against the metal. But you want to fluff your rice a bit to help some of the steam escape, and to fluff it a bit, introduce a bit of air into the denseness that has been inside of the actual rice cooker. I mean, this feels amazing. It smells delicious too. Very nutty. You can actually make out some of the salt that I added to. Okay. And therein lies a problem with some of these utensils. They will break. So let me dig out. Hot, 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 hot. All right, so that's going in the trash. Oh, I'm not even trying to save it. So hot. Ow, ow, ow. Ow, 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 ow. Oh, so hot. Woo, burn my fingers. Okay. The meat is still cooking. Our rice is perfect. So it's just going to sit there and do its own thing, and we will check on the meat in a second. Still too soupy. So you'll start to notice over time that the sugars will break down. The liquid will absolutely evaporate. I mean, you see the steam, and it's cooking off, but it will very, very quickly move because of the sugars. It will very, very quickly, you'll start to drag your spoon against the bottom of the cast iron, and it's almost like, separating it's like the Moses parting the seas of the Red Sea. The difference is that it kind of collapses real quick. When you slide your spoon across that, there will come a point where you will start to see the bottom of the cast iron pan. So the seas will not come together again so quickly as the sauce becomes. I can see it towards the back. See in the back there? See how I'm dragging and you're seeing the cast iron bottom? It's getting close. So the sauce, the liquid is truly breaking down into more of a sauce and less of an actual liquid. So we're getting there. This process just takes time, and it gets messy, and all of this splattering happens all around your stove. So just know that just having a couple paper towels around, damp paper towels, to wipe up your surface areas. I do that, but again, I'm a little OCD, so that's me. All right, we should be back in about 10-15 minutes to check on the consistency of our brown sauce. Now, many years ago, I was preparing this and I stepped away from the stove to do something else. I got distracted. And when I came back, there was no sauce. I mean, I had cooked everything off. It was beef and brown something, but it sure wasn't sauce. So you have to be very, very careful, because it can very, very quickly go from being something that you want to have glazing your white rice to, this is all right. You know what? This is so close. For the sake of this video, I'm going to kill the heat. Okay. Let's set this down. All right. So what I'm going to opt to do now is I've killed the heat to the burner on the stove. As you can see, it's still bubbling because obviously it's still very, very hot. And the sauce is going to remain very, very hot because of all the sugar that's in it from those sauces. But as I get quieter, the bubbling and gurgling of the sauce should get quieter. And what you are now left with is a nice, velvety, delicious brown sauce to go with your rice. And that's that. There have been times where I've added shallots to it afterwards. We've added sesame seeds. We've added Thai chilies to it afterwards. I know one time we tried some cheese. It wasn't really my favorite, but what it comes down to is having this meat and brown sauce with that white rice is incredible. It is just a beautiful marriage of flavors and textures that lots and lots of my friends like. I hope you do too. So as always, if any questions or comments, please, by all means, leave them in the comment section on whatever platform you're consuming this information or this content. As always, thanks so much for sticking around to watch. Enjoy.
I got a broken face. I got a